Okay, welcome to our last chapter, chapter 5, how to give constructive feedback. Why is constructive feedback so important? So, my experience with feedback, meaning advice on how to improve my films, or I used to be a playwright, so my play has been a real mixed bag. I've seen how destructive feedback can be. I was in grad school at UCLA and I received feedback that was not very helpful. And so it really taught me a lesson that it's important that we structure feedback in a way that makes it not depressing and feels good after you get feedback in terms of you getting tools to help improve your film. Number two, I think feedback, when done well, can really lead to a great film. And that Pixar movie studio, which is in Emeryville, has an incredible track record in large part because of their feedback group called the Brain Trust and the process of how they use that feedback. So, just to show you how successful they've been, in the last 50 years, Pixar has had some of the top ranking critically acclaimed films of animation or live action, and also huge box office hit. This is Rotten Tomatoes scores of their basically most of their films, except for I think the latest one. And you look here at Toy Story, 100%, meaning 100% of the critics on the internet thought that film was great. And then you have 92% of Bugs Life, 100% Toy Story 2. And this track record just really kept going. There have been a few dips here and there, but they clearly know something that's really making their films great. And I think feedback is a big part of it. So we're going to watch this short video about Pixar's feedback process. So enjoy. All right. I hope that was helpful in understanding where they're coming from, that they really don't see, the first draft really is just something for them to start thinking about the film. And then through feedback and revision and feedback and revision, they get some pretty great film. So let's talk about the rules that we're kind of using based on that Pixar model that will help you make great films as well. So first, before we watch your film, whatever draft you're on, really want to know what your goals are for the film. What do you want the audience to think about? What do you want the audience to feel? And I'll give you an example. Pete Docter, who wrote and directed Inside Out, also Monsters, Inc. and Soul, he wanted Inside Out to help the audience understand how a adolescent brain changes and what emotions lead to those changes. He also wanted them to actually feel the process of what it's like to go through those changes and get a real emotion connection about how confusing it is when your brain is changing and the emotions are changing. I think it was very successful because of its huge critical acclaim and box office success. Now, the second thing that I want you to do is we're going to watch all the films twice. The first time, you're just going to watch it for fun and appreciation. It's important not to analyze from the very beginning because first you just want to kind of feel it and experience it like a regular audience would. And when you're watching movies, typically you're not necessarily breaking it down every element, what's working, not working. And then the second time you watch it, you'll already know about the film overall, and then you can begin to think about the details to make it better. So before you give feedback to the filmmaker, you want to make sure you write your thoughts down, organize them so that you are giving clear and thorough feedback. Then you're giving feedback to the filmmaker. The first thing you want to do is give positive feedback. There's a couple of reasons for this. One is it will definitely create a better relationship between you and the filmmaker. If you're like, I'm really on your side, like I really like these certain things. And they could be things that maybe aren't executed as well as they could be, but you really like the potential of them. But you want to start with the positive to start that relationship on a right foot. And second wise, you really want to kind of highlight things that are working. Oftentimes directors can be very hard on themselves and writers can be hard on themselves. And it's important to figure out, okay, this is something that is really making that connection for you. And that way they don't erase that and keep that as sort of a. The other thing is it's important to be really specific. Oftentimes, when people are giving feedback for the first time, they're like, oh, that was great, or that was terrible, or that was funny, or it wasn't funny. These things are really not that helpful. You want to think about what specific elements are, whether it's the music or it's the images or just a certain moment, a scene that really pushes the film in the direction that the writer director wants or doesn't. And then that way they can kind of go back after they get the notes and kind of think, okay, oh yeah, I'm going to go to the beginning of the film, this moment when he picks up the cup, and then can kind of really hone in on what is working or not working. Then once the positive feedback is out of the way, then you're going to go to improvement feedback. There's really two elements to this. One is clarification, like just what happened. Sometimes you're just not confused about what a character did or some element of the story, and that just needs clarification, and that's important for the filmmaker to know. And then second of all, what specific elements are not pushing the story as far as it could, or the concept as far as it could in the direction that they want with their goal. Okay, constructive feedback rules in terms of what do you do after you get this feedback? So the director, writer, the one who came up with this needs to have ownership for the film. And so these feedback that we give are not sort of a list of things that you have to do. I think you should consider everything and thoroughly think about each issue, but ultimately the filmmaker needs to be the one responsible for it, because then they take greater ownership. Usually the film comes out much better. Now, finally, I want to just say two more things. One is that the feedback that I give you all when you're doing your filmmaking feedback process is really to help you to get the film to the greatest level for your goal that you have set out. And when you get to the top of that, we call that polished and complete, meaning the film is polished, every element is fine-tuned so that it's really working towards that goal, and it's complete. Like, for example, if it's a horror movie, it needs to be scary. If it's a comedy, it needs to be funny. And if it's not, then it's not doing what the goal is for that genre. And so everything that I'm giving you feedback is helping you to get to that level. And that often helps you get to the level of getting into our festivals or getting into festivals outside of school. Finally, I just want to share, the Pixar method understands that the creative process is not a direct line. Like, they don't make idea in a story and then show it, get some feedback, a little changes, and they're done. Now, they make some big, big changes along the way because they know that, as great as the idea may be at the beginning, that there's always twists and turns to that process. So they anticipate that and they make time for that. And so we'll do the same. So that's it. I just hope you gained a lot from this, and good luck.